going on, guys? You're tuning into the Cause and Effect Podcast, Sunday BYOB. I'm your host, Chico, accompanied by Pastor Jose and our dear friend, Fernando. And we're excited. We're excited because we have two special guests that we will introduce. One that's been on the podcast prior and a new guest, but similar face because we'll explain why. But Pastor Jose, he's going to lead this conversation for, as always, our Sunday BYOB. Glad that you came up with this for 2020 because it's the main ingredient for a lot of people's goals or a lot of things that people want to accomplish, or at least to magnify it in a bigger way. So thank you for tuning into the Cause and Effect Podcast Sunday BYOB, for our YouTube viewership, our SoundCloud viewership, Spotify, and all the other DSPs that we're on. Thank you. And without further ado, Pastor Jose.
He blows me away. He could remember all of these different words and venues and platforms. I'm like lost. I'm still at Spotify somewhere, like lost.
We're on there.
But I'm excited today. Like Chico said, we got two very special guests. I've known them for years now, and that's a blessing in and of itself. But when we started planning for our next few podcasts, right? Always January is a month where people are talking about resolutions. People are talking about their goals. People are buying planners. People are creating vision boards.
People are going to the gym.
People are going to the gym for like a week, spending for a year membership. They go to the gym for 1 week. They're planning on getting a car. They're planning on buying a house. They're planning on getting married. They're planning all of this stuff. But unfortunately, the least thing that they plan has to do with their finances. And I think if we're going to truly be committed to our goals and truly be committed to the long-term vision for our lives personally, we have to consider our finances. As a leader, one of the things that I pride myself in a little bit is the fact that I'm humble enough, right? You like that? I pride myself in the fact that I'm humble. But I'm humble enough to reach out for help in areas where I know that I'm weak. Right. And one of the areas that I've always struggled with is, it has to do with my finances. I was sharing with the guys before we came on, like, I don't like looking at my Chase app. And they made it worse now because they got a little hyperlink that connects you to your credit report. I'm like, I don't want to see my finances. Like, I don't want to see how much I'm spending on food when I eat out. I don't want to see how much I'm spending on things I shouldn't be spending on. And worse, I don't want to see my credit report that's showing how my credit score is dipping because I'm spending money on all this food and all this other stuff. But it's a testament or it witnesses to me, and it helps me to see that, I need help. Right? And I think a lot of people in our audience are going to benefit from the help that these two guys are going to share. Like Chico was saying, we got Ray again with us. And the last time he came, he was a blessing. He was able to excite the audience, and it was really, really cool. And he brought his partner, somebody that I know for a few years, and I know he's gonna bless us today, Sergio Caban. I said it in Spanish with that flair. Right?
That Spanish flair.
Remember the last name.
Exactly. We've had Pastor George Caban on at least three of our episodes. Yeah. It's possible that it's been more, maybe four.
It's been about 3 or 4.
3 or 4. But this is his kid. This is his son. And when they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I believe that it's so in Sergio's life as well, because Pastor George also, has a background in finances and investing and in some of the things that we're going to talk about. Now, you guys can definitely share your stories, how you guys met or things like that. But the question that I have to start them off is, what qualifies you guys to talk to us and to talk to our audience about finances?
Okay. Been thinking about this intro for some time now. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm a 20-year-old debt-free millennial, as you guys can see.
I like that shirt.
We have a little something going on that.
Oh, you got one too.
He got one too.
You didn't catch on?
Yeah. I'm so burnt.
Wow.
So we can get into that. We can get into that. But when I was first here, I run one business. Now I'm up to 2 businesses.
Awesome, man.
Those are my active investments. My active investments, which I'll get into later. And then I also have my passive investment, which is my real estate. And, you know, I'm pretty much debt free. So that's what qualifies me to be here today.
Nice. So you're how old?
20.
Hate that, number one. But 20 years old and debt free.
You said 20?
With
28.
at 28.
I'm like, no.
I'm like 20.
28.
Really ahead of the game.
28, debt free, investments, businesses, a nice car. You know, just throwing that in there. You know, so money wise, things are just definitely going your way.
Yeah, it's been since I started my business, everything just went, you know, the right direction. You know,
Nice.
so that's what led me to, you know, if I'm gonna have a business, why not manage my money the right way? And that was everything came together. So I just
Nice.
kept going with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Serge, what qualifies you to talk to us about money?
I guess I can say I've always had a pretty good foundation when it came to money management from the rip. Thanks to my pops, 2 principles he taught me early on at 18. Always live by half of what you got. So 50% of what you make, that's what you live off of. Assume the other 50 is not even there. And always have a good credit score because you're always going to need it at some point.
Yeah.
You might need it. So that was kind of like the foundation. So that alone right there, if you just did those 2 things,
Nice.
the money management, you'll be way ahead of the game.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Like, when I was 18, I was like, yo, I need to build my credit.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't know why. But now that I'm 28, I'm like, yo, thank God that, you know, at 18, I was already thinking I had to build my credit.
Nice.
You know,
A lot of people 18 not thinking about credit at all.
No,
And if they are,
they're
it's-
actually ruining their credit,
Right, or
Because
they're
that's
just
when
taking
you're
out credit
exposed to all
cards.
these credit cards and things like that. So.
And they paint it to you as an easy fix for a lot of things. Like you were sharing, one of you guys was sharing about school, the process that you go through in accruing debt. Can you share that process from the way that you shared it with me a few minutes ago?
Yeah, so basically, you know, we get into college, which is, you know, most people get into college debt. Then in college, they'll pitch you a credit card. Then you get into credit card debt. Then you graduate college and you decide to buy a car because now you got a job and you need to commute. That's another debt, car payment. And then you get married, which is another, you can, you know, get debt from getting married. You know, we'll get into that. And then after that, you buy a house. After you get married, you buy a house. That's another debt. So in the course of 5 years, you can have $500,000 in debt or more, and you don't even know it.
That's
You know?
insane. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I'm sorry to cut you off. They don't even teach us about that or
Until you're in debt.
in college. You know, like high school or college, when it's crucial for you to learn about that.
Where did you guys learn? Like you said, your father taught you some principles. Where else did you learn some of these principles that you're going to be sharing with us?
Well, I learned a lot of what not to do because of the car business. I used to do the financing in car business, so I would run people's credit, see what was on there, and see if they would qualify. And I would see people with $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 worth of debt, but their income was $40,000,
Wow.
$30,000. They want a Benz that with a $700 payment, but they're making $600 a week. So just connecting the dots, I'm like, man, people really don't see the issue here. Like, you're buying things you can't afford to impress people that you don't even need to
Yeah.
impress.
You don't even know them.
You don't even know half of these people.
For the gram, for the gram.
So I used to feel bad because I used to always, you know, I'm a realist. So like somebody would come to me like, I want this car. Yeah, I can sell you the car, but I got to tell you, you can't afford it. Like that's the reality. Like people lie, numbers don't. That's always my thing. So like the numbers are lie, it's there. And so from seeing that and just seeing all the pitfalls that a lot of people commonly fall into, I kind of like, man, I need to avoid those pitfalls and stay disciplined.
That's really good. I have a verse because I know there's somebody in our audience that's like, yo, this is the BYOB. Like, where's the Bible? Where's the Bible in money? God doesn't care about money. God isn't involved in money. Then what you working for? Like, why you wake up every morning and go to work? Like, how the church gonna pay that electric bill? How the church gonna pay, you know, to get all these utilities paid, the rent paid? Like this, PSENG doesn't run by faith. Like if, you know, a pastor's to call PSENG and be like, look, we're doing God's work.
Right.
You know, God, honor God by eliminating our bill in the name of Jesus. They're gonna be like, I don't know Jesus, I don't know you, pay this bill.
They just want their money.
They want their money, right? So money is something we have to talk about, and the Bible talks about it more than we would like to admit, right? But one verse in particular that Ray mentioned before that I want to mention quickly is 1 Timothy 6:10. Timothy is one of those books in the New Testament where, kind of like what you said with your dad, where Timothy's spiritual dad begins to teach him some principles, right? And he tells Timothy, he says, Timothy, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, right? But a lot of faith people and Christians and, people in churches and things like that, they say that the love of, that money is the root of all evil.
Right.
They eliminate a whole part. Yeah. They eliminate the whole part that says it's the love of money that's the root of all evil, right? But I looked up a different translation in the Amplified Bible. It says, for the love of money, that is the greedy desire for it and the willingness to gain it unethically, is the root of all sorts of evil. And some, by longing for it, have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves through and through with many sorrows. But I like when it says, for the love of money, that is the greedy desire for it and the willingness to gain it unethically. Right? In other words, the willingness to steal if you want it, to lie if you want it, to cheat if you want it, to do whatever it is to try to get it. But again, what the Bible teaches is that it's not money that's evil. It's the love of it. Right? Yep. Jesus in another part says you can't serve two masters. You can't serve God and money. But he doesn't say that, even in that verse, that money's bad. He's saying if you put money before God, you're going to find yourself in some issues. But it's the love of money. You guys were sharing before, and it's like we have a podcast before the podcast. and you guys were sharing before.
Still good.
Like some of when it comes to money and the love of money and all these things, the 4 Ps. I don't know if it's still 4. Maybe it's 3.
It's like 3.5 now.
3.5.
But just to kind of add to what you're talking about,
yes.
when you're talking about the love of money, I think the two things that factor the most is intention, right, and values. Like if you have strong ethical values, then money shouldn't corrupt you, right? Because you're always going to have your values first before the money. So like it was talking about being ethical, being honest, like making an honest living. There's people that do things that are crooked just to make money. I feel like that's bad, but if you have your values in place and you have your faith, then there shouldn't be any issue.
So good.
And now that you mentioned intention, it's like, what are your intentions behind the money? Like, I can do more good with money than I can do bad because my intentions are good. If my intentions were bad, then with money, I'll do bad. But since my intentions are good, I'm going to use it for the good. So intention is really big when it comes to having money.
I heard somebody say it was like money only makes you more of who you already are.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have heard of that too.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yep.
if you're greedy without money, you just more greedy with it.
Yeah,
if you're a giving and generous person, money's just going to make you more generous.
Exactly, yeah. And God blesses those who are
generous.
Right.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
good.
So it goes back down to intention and values.
It's crazy how it continues to connect. It continues to connect with intention, with values, with motives, with why do you want it? Like when we began this podcast by talking about how when it comes to our New Year's resolutions, when it comes to our goals, when it comes to all of these things, a lot of times we don't want to sacrifice for what we want. So, in a sense, I feel like we really have to ask ourselves, how badly do you want it? You say you want these things, but do you really want it? Right? Because if you really want it, it's going to lead you to make certain decisions and certain lifestyle choices to put you in a position to get that which you want. Like for me, I'm believing 2020 is going to be a year of opportunity, and I believe that I communicate well. But I'm believing my opportunity is going to be greater than some of the opportunities I've had in the past. So, like, even today, Anna and I bought, 5 books that have to do with communicating. Because I know that I'm going to be communicating on a larger scale. So, I need to get ready for that. Right? But when it has to do with finances, some of my financial goals, I have to get ready for those goals. Right? So, I'm the second leading cause of divorce in the United States is finances. So it just shows like human interaction and relationships are affected. The second leading reason is finances. And we're just not going to talk about it. That's insane. Like we're just going to ignore it. Like if it's not, it's like the
taboo.
The elephant in the pink elephant in the room. Like we're just going to ignore. Is it pink or purple? It's Not the white
The
elephant.
white elephant.
No.
Who makes the rules?
Certain color. We're gonna just say the purple. All right, the purple elephant in the room, right? Like we're just gonna ignore that elephant's in the room. It's not gonna change the fact that the elephant is there,
Yeah.
right? And I feel that when it comes to finances, like I don't remember my parents ever talking finances. I don't remember anyone sitting down with me growing up saying, "Look, this is what's gonna go down as you grow up. This is what you need to do. No one ever sat down with me and said, this is a checkbook. This is."
I think they were trying to figure it out themselves.
So we're kind of behind the eight ball, right? So this is why we got Ray, we got Serge, we got this podcast that's gonna be posted. We're gonna have a video. We're gonna share it. We're gonna let people know why, because we're trying to create a dent in that culture.
Right.
Especially, I feel like especially coming from the Spanish.
Oh yeah.
Like, I never had my mother sit down and tell me, "Oh, this is a check, and this is how you use it, and this is your bank account, and this is how you use it." Like, no, I just see her having one.
Yeah.
So as I'm getting a job and growing up, it's like, okay, I need one.
Right.
You know, I need a card. I need checks for something, which I don't. I don't really use. I probably
Yeah,
use
it's like that.
5 of my checks for whatever reason, but they don't sit down and teach
Sure.
us like, oh, you know, like they just tell us, oh, you got to get it, or eventually they figure out that we got it because we see them having it. But
Yeah, I definitely think financial literacy is like the one subject that is not spoken about enough. And we've been talking about this for years. Me and Ray been hammering like, man, like why don't people know this? Like why isn't there enough content out there? Like now it's starting to gradually come out. There's people who kind of put out content, but it's like it's not enough. Like the awareness, there needs to be more awareness as far
It
as
needs to be instilled in people. You know,
yeah, like learning principles, learning how to be investor mind, you know, the mindset of an investor, thinking like an investor and not so much like a consumer. Because we're taught, right? Everybody's raised to be a consumer.
Yeah.
You got money, you spend it. You got 200, spend 200. It's like, hey, I made 300 this week, I got 300 to spend. It's like, no, false. You know that. What's wrong with that sentence?
What's wrong with that sentence?
Yeah, I made 300 this week. I have 300 to spend.
It's like you never go up from there.
It's like you spend every dollar,
Spend
and
everything
then you
you
have
make.
no money to invest or to put towards your future, or like you said, towards a wedding, towards education, towards a property, towards a business.
That's so good.
And
You know?
and if they have 300 and spend 300, they'll be okay. But most people, they have 300 and spend 500. How they credit cards?
Yeah.
They finance everything. That's where the
And it's a
bigger
culture
issue-
thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's not just one person. It's like collectively, that's just the habit and the culture.
Yeah.
You know?
You know,
Hence
my-
the $1 trillion debt we're in. So.
You know,
Yeah.
my father, great moneymaker, but has money literacy. He needs more money literacy, right? So I remember in high school, I got approved to a credit card, and it was $2,000, you know, American Eagle. And he didn't mention for 1 second, hey, this is why you cannot spend that money. It was to the point where I destroyed my credit, where he says, you should have taken care of your credit.
Yeah.
You know, you're tripping. Like, he
You should have
tore
known
me
that.
up, right? He was like, what are they teaching you in school? I said, not that. They're not teaching me that.
Yeah.
My cousin, Omar, you know, he told me very early, like, take care of your credit. This, and the third. And I was just like, whatever, right? And for me, I had to go through it to learn. Some people as well. Now, for the new listener that's tuning in, what are some tips that you can give them on, you know, coming straight out of high school, in college, coming out of college? You guys were in, I wouldn't say unique situations, you just thought unique. Like, you were in positions where you were able to see some people's downfalls or bad credit history. You were in a position where you were able to see the genius part of taking this and making money out of this,
Yeah.
right? Like, you were selling things online and you were flipping things at an early age. So what would be, you know, today your advice for the person that's straight out of high school, straight out of college, or in a bad position that needs some quick tips to get them on a fast track to getting
just switch.
better?
I think most people don't even understand how much money they're bringing in and how much money's coming out. So I think if you just break that down, hey, listen, I'm only making $3,000, but I'm spending $3,500. You know, what can I do to reduce that $500 deficit, right? Because every month you're gonna go 500, 500, 500. You're gonna keep getting into debt. A lot of people don't understand that if you just break that down, you can get out of debt within a year, 2 years, you know, depending on your debt. But I think just breaking down your budget, how much money's coming in and how much money's going out, I think
And that's called what?
budgeting,
Discipline.
discipline
Because
is
you know what it is? This month or this week, maybe they were a little tight. But the next week, they basically got their whole paycheck. So they swipe the card, like, I'll pay it next week. I
Yeah.
got it. Then next week
Yeah.
comes, they see all the money in their account. Oh, I'm balling.
Yeah.
And they forget
They're-
about
they're-
what they spent last week.
they're living
And then
above
they
their
have to
means.
pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
break
that's what happens.
break that down, and I think from there you can start building something. You know, now you have money left over at the end of the month. What can you do with that extra money? You know, you save it, invest it. You know, we can get into investing, but that breakdown alone would get you out of debt. You know, as soon as you start, you can start. You know, putting that extra money into debt or whatever. I don't know.
I would
You have
say
something?
one big thing is like learn to live by principle and not emotion when it comes to money. I think the biggest thing a kid can learn early,
Sure.
the earliest they can, is that money is not an emotional thing. It is a tool that if you utilize principle and discipline, you can do a lot with it, right? You can bless a lot of people, you can bless your life, you can create generational wealth, you can create asset, you can build, right? But early on, I noticed like 18, 19, 20, it's kind of like, I just want to have fun. If I make money, I just want to enjoy myself, which is cool, but everything comes at a price. So then it goes to priority. What's important for you? So I guess the big thing here for young people is you got to ask yourself, what's most important to you in the next 10 years of your life? What matters most? Having fun might matter, but does that matter most? No. If it matters the most, then okay, then live your life day by day, spend, that's what's important to you. But if you're like, well, I want to build something, I want to have something, I want to leave a legacy. And if you're talking like that and you're like, I want to start a business, right? I want to run my own operation one day. Then if that is your priority, you need to build a set of principles that matches that, especially with money. A principle, like people are like, oh, what kind of example could you give me? We're like, well, I know I want to start a business in 4 years. I'm going to need to save $5,000 within the next 4 years to start my business, right? That's a plan. That's an intention that you want to do something. Well, how am I going to get to that $5,000 in the next 4 years? And this is where you got to get true with yourself. You got to break that down every month. How much are you making? How much are you spending? What do you have left over? With that, what's left over, how much of that do I need to save that in 4 years I'll hit the $5,000 mark? That's how specific you have to get. Yeah. And what happens is when you have a plan like that where it's laid out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when it comes to making financial decisions every month, it's like, well, does that fit my plan? If the answer is no, don't do it. Yeah. If it does fit, then you do it. And then so when you live by principle like that, it's just a lot easier to hit your goals financially.
Yeah, definitely get specific with your goals. Yeah, very, very specific. Like not even like quarterly or monthly. I'm talking about weekly, even daily. Yeah.
And that's what something you were sharing before, how every single morning you look at your bank account.
Yeah.
Like I hide from my bank. I don't want to see that stuff.
Wait,
it gets me so mad to see all this.
Yeah.
Like it's red, right? Like when you see, I'm like, yo, like red is my favorite color, yo. Like why you gotta make it red? Yeah. But it's like but I get what you're saying. I think Dave Ramsey talks about that a lot too. Like you're never going to get out of that until you see how you're creating it. So he talks about being very specific with your expenses. This money's going here. This money's going there. This money's going there. Again, I don't want to be a hypocrite. You know what I mean? Because I have struggles with this. I have legit struggles with finances, and that's why I was really looking forward to this because I got other questions. Chico has one.
Yeah, question and perspective or comment. There's many people that have certain beliefs that grow up with beliefs that they hear in their household, or from personal experiences, and they're very sensitive when it comes to speaking about money. Because if we look at it, like if you look at social media, everybody just flaunts the material things, but there's nobody showing the bank account statements in the background. Like nobody's saying, "Yo, I did this, and a third financially to get this," because a lot of people are either sensitive, scared, or closed-minded to somebody else's belief with money. And a lot of even like Christians or people that believe in God, they feel like they cannot like making money. It's like they have to hate it. You see somebody living in a big house, they're like, oh, why you need a big house like that? You could just live humble and use all that money for something else, right? Because they have this certain belief. What would you say, like, or how would, if you guys had that certain mindset, or anybody around you, what would you like speak on that for the audience right now? Because I know there's probably somebody in the audience right now that's listening to this conversation, and they're either looking for ways to make fun of it or to knock it instead of being open to receiving this information and changing their situation.
Yeah, I think that type of mentality alone is just gonna leave you in debt, right? Like if you've seen somebody doing things and buying a mansion because they can, and you're saying, oh, they shouldn't be doing that. I mean, that type of mentality alone is gonna leave you in debt or broke, right? Once you start changing that mindset towards other people or towards money, then you start to see change. You have to first change your mindset in order to change your lifestyle, what you do, how you do things. Everything comes from the mindset. So once you renew it, and it goes back to beliefs, you're so ingrained in those beliefs that it becomes who you are. So once you renew your mindset, you'll start to see money as a tool. To get you the things you want. It doesn't have to be something negative. It's just a tool. Just like this phone is a tool for me to communicate. Money's a tool for me to do good things with it. Donate it, invest it. It's not something don't look at it as a negative object. It's a positive thing if you use it the right way. Just start changing your mentality, and I think that alone is just gonna get you to a next level.
And what I want to add to that question or comment is there's also people that are scared of you challenging their beliefs because they grew up on certain things. It's like you grew up believing that I'm not gonna get into politics, but whatever your family all Democrats, that's the right way to go, whatever the case is, and you're scared of somebody coming with some facts or something that can either challenge your beliefs or make you look at things a little bit more different. What would you say in that perspective? And for Sergio, like for the person that's saying, okay, I save this much, which is $20, and I spent $100 versus flipping that around, right? Because they believe that they're supposed to enjoy more, or their parents say, yo, you shouldn't be, money, tú no te lo vas a llevar para la, you're not taking it to the grave, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you got to use that money, right?
Yeah. I feel like, again, it's a limiting belief, right? And I feel like if you're going to grow as a person, as a human being, you have to question yourself and your beliefs. I feel like what I believed when I was 20 and what I believe when I was 25, entirely different. From 25 to 29, it changed entirely different. I'm almost 99% sure from 29 to 35, a lot of my beliefs are going to be different because I'm going to grow. I'm going to see things differently if I allow myself to grow and see things differently, right? So you can't always think, oh, my way is the only way. That's actually a form of pride, right? If you're not open enough to hear another way, or at least think about it and say, man, maybe there is a possibility that that's true and what I'm believing is not. Let me seek this out for myself to see what's true.
That's really good.
So I feel like you have to be open-minded and be okay with being challenged. That's part of growth. You got to be okay. If you're not okay with being challenged and you just want to stay the way you believe, you're not going to grow, And then you're not going to be open to these opportunities that may come. God may be blessing you with an opportunity, but your old mindset don't let you see it. Mm-hmm. It's covered, right? God trying to bless you, but like, oh, I don't believe God could bless me with that. Yeah. And it wasn't that God didn't want to bless you, it's that your mindset didn't accept it.
Yeah.
You don't want to receive that. You don't want to take that in.
And as much as you say, si Dios quiere,
right.
when God blesses me with some money. Like I hear so many people say, yeah, one day I'll hit the lottery, and it's just like it irritates me so much because like I hear it so much in my household sometimes or outside.
Yeah.
The family members, and I just